So we've spoken to you about MREIF Mortgage, and here's an honest review about the process. Because in Nigeria, there's what is advertised and then there's what is actually delivered. So we're going to just give you an honest review about the MREIF process. And for context, we are currently processing a bunch of customer applications from various different banks, both commercial banks and mortgage banks. So what does the process actually entail? This is what we're going to be talking about today. So the first thing you need to know about MREIF Mortgage is that it is being processed by commercial and mortgage banks. The Ministry of Finance Incorporated basically funds them. They give them money to then fund customers. That is basically you and I. So that's the first thing you need to know, and that's pretty important to know about the MREIF Mortgage. And why that is important is because the banks then determine or basically create their different terms. So the bank A's terms will be different from Bank B. So for instance, we have a customer who a bank is not financing because they work for an NGO, and as you know, NGO workers in Nigeria probably earn one of the highest salaries in the country. But this bank is saying they're not going to finance that customer because they're an NGO and they perceive NGOs as risky and volatile because maybe the NGO will shut down or something. So another thing you need to know is there are banks that won't finance you unless you're a member of a professional body, particularly if you live abroad. You need to be a member of a professional body and you need to get a recommendation letter from that professional body for the bank to finance you. So what that means is that people who are not doctors, nurses, accountants, or have like a professional body that they belong to, have a recommendation letter from them, the bank will not finance them. Another thing to know is that some banks, MREIF is 100 million naira. That's meant to be the max loan amount, but some banks won't give you up to 100 million naira. Some of them will give you lower than 100 million naira so that they can give more people money. Something else to also note is that some banks, you won't get, if you're a business owner, you wouldn't probably get the full 20 years. MREIF is quoted as giving people a payback period. That's the period they pay back the loan will be 20 years. But some banks give less than 20 years for business owners. They also require some business owners, some banks will require business owners to have an account to them for at least 3 months before they will give you the loan. And some banks, if you're in a non-English speaking country, so if you live abroad in the diaspora and you're in a non-English speaking country, basically the banks won't touch you, they won't finance you because your documents are not in English and they just can't process that. Another one is you have a bank that is basically not choosing to finance a customer because the property the customer likes is right of occupancy. So the bank doesn't finance right of occupancy, they only finance C of O, governor's consent. Those kind of title documents are what they finance with. They wouldn't finance any property that is right of occupancy. And as you know, a lot of the properties that are in Abuja are actually right of occupancy, not necessarily C of O. So that basically limits the number of properties in Abuja that bank can finance. So basically what you need to know with MREIF is that the different banks basically have different processes, different steps, and you need to basically walk through this whole maze of processes with the different banks. Some of them may do this, some of them may not do this. So that's something you should know. And the last thing that you need to know is that MREIF actually does not take between 2 to 4 weeks as advertised by most banks. The truth is that MREIF, as we've seen from our own experience, and if you've processed with MREIF Mortgage, you can come and tell us from our own experience, it can take up to 2 months, 3 months to process the mortgage. But one thing you should know about MREIF is that MREIF is really going quickly, and this is the last thing I'll talk about with the banks. So the banks are the Ministry of Finance gives the banks money. So each bank has like an allocated amount of funds that Ministry of Finance gives them to then finance individuals. And something you should know that these banks are beginning to get oversubscribed. What that means is that there's a lot of demand for MREIF Mortgage. MREIF Mortgage is moving very fast, and in my opinion, it's still the best mortgage to take, single digit interest rate mortgage to take in Nigeria. That's my current opinion about it, working with MREIF and seeing how things are going compared to the different mortgage plans that are single digit interest. Is probably still the best. So, and it's moving very, very quickly. That's the truth about it. The banks are beginning to get oversubscribed and need to go back to, Mofi to basically collect more money. So that's just some things I should know about the MREIF Mortgage. This is an honest review from someone who is processing different mortgages for different customers. It's moving quickly, and if you're looking to get a house in Nigeria with a single digit interest, it's still probably the best option for you. And if you want to avoid all the headache of working with different banks and moving through basically a maze, then come meet us at Giddaa, work with us, and We'll help you get a mortgage in Nigeria. We'll help you get a home in Nigeria with the MREIF Mortgage, whether you live in Nigeria or you live abroad. All right, so look forward to working with you. Thank you, and bye for now.